Kravitz. If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 230 of the HHH Racing Podcast. I am your proud host, Howard Kravitz. Thanks for joining us tonight as we are going to cover in detail the huge, massive early pick five carryover this Friday at Aqueduct. Over $285,000 in the kitty, just sitting there waiting for you, me, and everyone else. Hopefully we're going to give you some great advice and smash that pick five on Friday. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button on the bottom right hand side of the screen. Hit the notification bell so you know when new content will arise, and also smash that like button. We're still waiting for a video that has over 150 likes, so please smash that like button. We greatly appreciate it. Of course, you can reach me on Twitter at HKravitz on my name tag. Bottom of the screen, you'll see my email, hkravitzhorse@gmail.com. Also scrolling on the bottom of the screen, we've got a show tonight, another show, 9 p.m. Eastern. Bettin and Boozin boys will be back to talk about their Super Bowl results and equally, if not more importantly, the late pick 4 at Gulfstream this Saturday. A real nice sequence plus a lot of other things. And then tomorrow night, flagship show, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to cover the huge Fairgrounds card on Saturday like a glove. It's the Risen Star Stakes. In addition to that, we will have a special promotion with Crowns Way Racing. Tony Rowell will be here with some special guests as well, including trainers and TV personalities, to talk about why you should buy into Crowns Way Racing, a fantastic syndicate. All that will be tomorrow night starting at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Check that out. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Check out our Power Picks below. They've been fantastic this year and last year. It's our very inexpensive tip sheet, under $4 every Saturday. Please take advantage. Look below the video player. And then, of course, we have a fantastic website that was developed by one of our great co-hosts, Pete Visco. Will be on here in just a second. Check that out, hhhracingpodcast.com. Looks like we have one, but Dian is here. Dian, how you doing tonight? I'm sure we're going to have a lot of people. As you're watching the show, please make sure you comment in the live chat on the top right-hand side of the screen. We want your opinions of these races. Perhaps you've already looked at the card. It's been out for a while. Perhaps you're just getting some advice for the first time and you don't even know which horses are running. That's our job here to help you out tonight, and we'll be doing that. So please make sure you ask questions in the chat. All right. Before we get to the early pick 5 sequence, let's very quickly bring on my fantastic co-host from the East Coast, from Maryland, Pete Visco. Pete, we got big carryover, sir. Are we excited?
I mean, you got to love the carryover. I'm not sure, as I was going through, I happened to comment to my wife, who doesn't really give a crap, but I told her anyway. I was like, this might be the worst sequence of races and horses I think I've ever handicapped in my life. So I'm curious to see how this one turns out. If there's a chance for some bombs, there's a chance for, I think, anything in these races.
Yeah, it's not the highest quad. It's also 4 mile races on the dirt, which is interesting. 1 6 furlong race, so no turf racing, of course. So Listen, a 3-1 in a crappy race pays the same as a 3-1 in a grade one, right?
The green is the same on the money, no matter how good the race is. So I'm with you on that.
A few quick things about the weekend. There are a lot of stories. We're not going to talk in detail, but Wonder Wheel crapped the bed, loomed up like she was going to win easily, didn't get there. I was very proud as a very small owner of Funny How, the New York bred filly. Pete has won 5 in a row, and I don't know if you know this. Actually, many people don't know. I don't think Matt Cutera would mind, but we're pointing her to a grade 3, which is very exciting. I won't say which race right now. I don't want to spoil too much, but she's pointing to a dirt filly mare race, grade 3. We couldn't be more excited about her. But for me, other than that, the weekend was a bunch of crap. basically for me, to put it politely.
Well, I mean, I know the Wonder Wheel for our power picks. I know for my ABC grid, the Wonder Wheel hang costed the pick 5, which would have been, I don't know what it would have paid if Wonder Wheel had come in, but still it would have been nice to get that ticket home. The one thing, and we had, the one thing, and not counting like Tappet Trice, who ran well in a non-derby race, the one thing you're noticing is these derby prep races have been sort of underwhelming in the sense of you don't really see anybody rising above the crop, and you don't really see anyone you're like, man, I really like that horse going forward. So I'm hoping with the big point derby races coming that we'll see some more of those. But even looking, and we'll talk about it tomorrow, even looking at the Risen Star, I'm like, I don't look at that race in the brief handicapping I did. I don't really look at that race and think, oh yeah, there's somebody in here I really, really like as a potential derby candidate. There's some that if they move up, yes, but nobody's really stamped it as, hey, I really like this horse. And again, not like Tappet Trice because he hasn't even run in a Derby prep. I'm thinking more just Derby prep related. So that's the only thing you took out of this weekend from whichever, I forget which race was it, whatever Derby prep race it was. I can't
It
even.
was the Sam F. Davis.
The Sam F. Yes.
Yes, of course. We'll be talking about the races of the fairgrounds tomorrow. Pete, I'll give you a little sneak preview. There's a horse in the Risen Star that I put a little future wager on, backing up Tappet Trice. We'll talk about it tomorrow night. I think there's a horse that's interesting. High risk. Hello, high risk. Yes, funny how for now is staying in New York. Who knows? Well, Rehan believes she can travel just fine. She's a very well composed filly. We don't know what we're going to do. Funny risk after the next race, which will be New York. We'll see. There's plenty of good races, Pete, to win money in New York Open Company and New York Bred. So there's probably not going to be a need to travel. But who knows? Where's the Breeders' Cup again? Oh, no, I don't know if she'll be traveling there. But I made a prediction. I did make a prediction on this show. Remember our prediction show? Ray Handel will have a Breeders' Cup runner. Crazy things have happened, Pete. Who the hell knows, right?
Hey, you know what's funny? I know people make fun of the My Racehorse, the micro shares and stuff, but it is fun even if you have, I don't care the smallest piece you have. If you have a horse that you started with as a 2-year-old, maybe, and they progress and all of a sudden they hit like a graded stakes race and actually can win a graded stakes race. I don't care how much you own, how much you make, any of it. You're still pretty excited as a horse fan just from, because you could see when you own enough of them, you see some of these horses, they barely can make it to the track. Yeah. Then when they run, they're crap, some of them. Right. And then you see ones that progress through the ranks and get to a graded stakes and actually can win one. It's pretty exciting. I don't care how big your stake is.
Yeah, no question. I have a small percent. I don't have $50. I'll say that. I have substantially more than that, but it doesn't really matter. My point is I want to be careful with, there's people that have a lot more money into it, a lot more, backing into it. So I don't want to walk around and say, look how, stuck my chest out, look how cool it is. But it is sort of neat to say that you are a stakes winning owner. I mean, that is undeniable. So
yeah, it's not like saying, hey, I have 3 shares of Apple and, we had a good year. It's not, it's not that bad, but you have to keep it in perspective. I mean, it's not like you're sitting there in the room, probably making decisions on what the next race is going to be. No. So, but I don't think any of that's the point. I think we're all in this game because we love the horses, we love the races. And if there's any reason how you can get a percentage, who cares? You're still backing that horse and you're watching it and you're watching them progress and it's exciting no matter. I have a whole wall of My Racehorse horses back there. Some of them are graded stakes wins and they're fantastic. I don't really care if they made me no money. I really didn't care when I was watching it happen. It was still fun.
It is cool, but selfishly, I do have a lot more money in some other Delphi horses.
Well,
well, let's hope they can. Some of them are in training and going to be running. Anyway, few quick things from our viewers, then we're going to get started here. I want to mention this. Jim Pillars, thanks for joining the show. Annual subscribers really benefited from this past weekend. Thank you, Howard. So not everyone out there is aware, although we publicized it. If you subscribe to our Power Picks, you do have a choice between monthly subscribers, Pete, or we just started at the end of 2022, a yearly subscription. And Pete, I do send out an extra video and we do some extra some extra things for our yearly subscribers. And the special video that I sent out to only yearly subscribers, both horses won. We had Hit Show. I know he was only 6-5, but a win's a win. And then I also tipped out Funny How. So I would highly recommend, if you are a subscriber to our Power Picks, or even if you're not, check it out. And if you are a subscriber, there's a way to change your subscription, Pete, from monthly to yearly. And you do get some extra benefits from that, including a 10 to 15 minute video that I send out along with the picks every Saturday that are not available to the public. So, Jim, thanks for that shout out. I do appreciate it. And let's get started, Pete, because as JW says, we are here in the game because we like to gamble. Doesn't matter if it's 20 main claimers or G1. So, Pete, without further ado, let's stop yapping and get started here. Pick 5 carryover. It's Friday. It's the Pick 5 carryover. It's the first 5, Pete. And listen, the card came out nice and early. I know you agree with this. Kudos to all these tracks, Pete. They're getting out these races nice and early. I hope that a lot of other tracks continue to follow. Let's go ahead and start taking a look at this Pick 5 here. And I thought I was going to show the screen. I have it up, but I didn't have it up. All right, let's get this going here. Let's put it, by the way, Pete, I've got some heartbreaking news. Unfortunately, we're going to get 6 inches of snow or more tomorrow here in the northern suburbs of Chicago. And dang, they canceled school. So, now I have extra time to handicap the races and work on my Power Picks. I'm so disappointed, Pete.
What a bad day. Oh, my God. I'm surprised you're even able to do this podcast tonight.
Listen, I've got the Kleenex box ready. But all seriousness, because of wonderful technology, it is an e-learning day, which means I actually do have to be there for my students. It's actually a normal school day. It's just online, but high school students, they're not, a lot of them won't be there. So it'll be an easier day, but in all seriousness, I do have things I have to do for school, but I might slip in a few handicapping, between during my free hours. I don't have to be just in a conference room working on grading papers. I could be legitimately at home working on
cashing some tickets. That sounds good.
Well, no, I will be doing some schoolwork. Okay, officially, I'm doing schoolwork.
Yes. Sorry. That's what I call cashing tickets. Schoolwork. It's just something I came up with. So yes.
Of course. All right, let's get to the Pick 5, Pete. It starts with Maiden claiming 20. They're going a mile. These are 3-year-olds. This is not the most talented bunch. And I don't know about you, Pete, but I just literally looked at the morning lines. It came out recently. I just saw them like half an hour ago because I was busy after work doing a bunch of things. So let me take this rolling banner off the screen here. You got a big 4-5 morning line favorite. The number 2 sounds spooky. For Pletcher and Franco, and I'm getting our picks on the screen here. There they are, and we are both going to go up the favorite. And Pete, as I bring us on screen here, just let everyone know, Paul Halloran cannot be here tonight. He's got some work obligations. When you're in PR, duty calls, folks, and he's got some things, a very crazy week, unfortunately. It's not a positive week for him. It's not his fault, of course. That's just the way it goes in the PR world, Pete. So we might have Paul on tomorrow. We might not. But listen, Paul's in our thoughts. I think we can handle it. We're going with the favorite here to start it. 4-5 is a little bit low for my taste. David Aragon does a great job. This horse looks very obvious, but yikes, these are just not high quality horses.
I mean, the one thing I do is I look at the odds. I handicapped without the odds, but then I look at them before I send the picks over. And I was like, 4-5. I knew this horse was a standout, like you said, but 4-5 to swallow on any horse who 3 races ago was getting pounded. I mean, that was on the turf, but still, none of these horses really exude any confidence. But this one, you have Pletcher. I mean, I like a horse. Generally, we like a horse that improves their buyers and shows some natural progression. This horse has done that. He's dropping out of maiden 40,000 to maiden 20,000 claimers. So you figure there's a bit of a class edge there as well. The breeding is fine. So it's not like, it's a $100,000 horse. It's not like it's some dud. And then I did have a couple stats. Pletcher Franco, 33% wins, 67% in the money with maiden claiming races on dirt at Aqueduct. So you figure you keep dropping this horse, eventually you expect him to get a win, and it probably is going to be here, I guess.
I think he's very logical. Now, Pete, I guess I shouldn't talk about the weather without Paul Halloran, but this is not Florida. Now, last weekend we got lucky again. I got a feeling we're not going to get lucky. I looked at the weather in New York. It looked like tomorrow, Thursday, they're supposed to get like rain. Friday was like an 80% chance of rain in the morning and rain. And it's obviously not 75 degrees there. I got a feeling we're looking at a wet track, Pete. And again, we don't know for sure, but
Yeah.
that's how I handicapped it. I just want to bring that out to the viewers. I wasn't really expecting any particular comment from you, but I just want to mention that
Well,
I
I
think
did.
it
I'll
will be
just
a
say
wet
I
track.
didn't. So I handicap. I mean, I just don't trust the weather to be right. So I hate
Yeah.
I'm not going to handicap full on. Plus, with the array of horses in some of these races, I'm not sure if wet or dry helps one way or the other.
Yeah. Jim Pilar said Sound Spooky is a must use, not a single. He's running state bred main claiming others are racing open claimers. He'll be an A, but he's going to use the one and others as backups. Pete, that's a good question I wanted to ask you. Sorry, let me go back. Uh, State bred maiden 40 to open 20. To me, it's a lateral move. I'm going to respectfully disagree with Jim. How do you take that class move?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to know without the horses. I mean, I think you can have state bred horses at a higher level that are just better than what's in the open races. So I feel like each one's a case by case. I don't get too bogged down in it. It's different. I mean, at this level where these horses just aren't performing that well, I,
Yeah.
I can't get too tied up in that. I mean, so he's the one who has been showing at least a little bit of something, and based on buyers and based on the buyers from the winners of those races, they seem to be better than even some of the open company races.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go by that more than the actual title of the race and the condition of the race.
Pete, you can tell that it's a bit difficult in behind the two because you've got two horses in second and third that are completely different from my second and third.
Yeah.
You have steady progress. There's 4-1 morning line for a Nightpole Chatterpole, certainly capable of winning. Did bounce up to a 46 buyer, but got an absolutely dream trip and just a race that um, is not very good, frankly, and was 11-1. So this is a horse I would personally fade, but I totally get, why this horse can win.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is with not a ton of confidence. I think once this one dropped back down. So the debut was in the slop. So again, if it's wet, you don't know. The debut was in the slop. So I gave this one a little credit to say, okay, drop down to maiden 20, ran a decent race. Like you said, didn't necessarily do a whole lot and just sort of fell into second, basically.
Yeah.
But it's still better than what some of these horses are doing. There's a little bit of progression. The Chatterpaul is 2 for 99 wins at Aqueduct lifetime or in the last 5 years. The only thing has a win in 2 seconds in his last 3 races that he's trained at Aqueduct. So maybe Knife Hall is on the upswing as well. So again, I don't mean to sound wishy-washy, but it's not like I went into any of the picks in this specific race with a whole ton of confidence.
Yeah, you've got Storm D in third. Listen, I've got the 5. That's my business. My only thought with the 5 here is I'm trying to find some kind of fresh face, different kind of look. And this is the horse that he's going a mile for the first time. And he's got some distance breeding, old blue eyes, mucho macho man, and blinkers off. I'm just looking for some kind of angle, Pete. I mean, I have no idea. But
Well,
I mean, again, the source is running a 40 and 41. It's not like the 2 is like some kind of monster. So
no.
if someone can find a way to improve 6-7 points, they're right there. And I've got the 1 in third. Again, Disturbed looks like a disturbing horse. But again, this horse has dropping down, Pete. Blinkers on. Again, I'm just looking for equipment changes. I'm just looking for something that's different because I don't think this 2 has to win, but he's just very logical.
No, I agree with you 100%. I would have taken any of the, I think if
hold on a second.
did. Oh, sorry.
Go with
Kyle,
the sprite today, actually.
Bettin and Boozin coming.
100%. There you go, Kyle Roscoe. Sorry, go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, with the 5, the one thing I was going to say was it looks like potentially is going to be a come from behind kind of horse, and had been chasing really slow paces. I'm not sure you're going to get much different here, but hey, maybe that horse will get lucky one of these times. And again, when you take the blinkers off, who knows what it's going to do?
Yeah,
I'm with you. You're fishing for any sort of change or any sort of something that's going to change the luck or change the style or something of one of these horses to bring them up.
And sounds spooky. Well, I don't know about cool, but interesting here, Pete, and we'll move on. Is I don't know about you, but I am not playing a pick four if I lose the first race. So
No, no, no,
if
no.
I decide to just stone cold single the two, I'll be out with probably I don't know, like 70% of the people are going to be out. I think a lot of people are single this too. So it's a very interesting betting dichotomy. He's obvious, but you single him. And please, please, everyone, and I know Pete Visco will agree with me. Please don't say to yourself, "Oh, I can't single the two. It's the first race. I have to be alive."
Yeah,
Stop
no.
it. Stop it. No, you do not have to be alive. You have to win the freaking pick five. That's what you got to do, right, Pete?
Doesn't matter how you do it. Yes, you never.
Absolutely
I
not.
mean, we all get that thought in your head. You just have to sort of fight it off. Real quick, one thing on the two, which this happened this weekend too, and it doesn't happen often. And this is such a small field, and there's not a lot of time forms in here. But the two has the top time form early pace and late pace figure. That very rarely happens in a race. It happened once over the weekend. I don't even remember what the horse did, but it's just a rare thing. And you look at it and go, well, this horse is the best on the best early speed. So could just go to the top in a race like this and has enough kick maybe. So I don't know. That's why I don't have to preview our pick five, but I'm singling this one just because I figured there are other ones I want to go deep in.
I will wait just to keep you in the
Yes,
guessing game.
we need to
But
play
yeah,
our
the
guessing
two is
game.
really
Yes,
obvious.
yes,
All
yes.
right, Pete, let's go on to the next race. You see our picks on the bottom of the screen. We are a little bit different here. Race 2 is 20,000 claimers. They're going a mile. This is for older fillies and mares. Of course, is on the dirt. There is a coupling, which I know you and I despise with a passion, but there is a coupling here for Englehart and Dylan Davis. The morning line favorite here is for the Kansas Marcy barn, and Franco again on the number 3, who's coming out of the 2-hole. Blue paint, 5-2 morning line. Pete, you're going to go with the 1. I'm not sure. I don't know if you were going to type in. I like to type in 1A if I like the 1A more. So I'll just let you talk on, because we don't know if one might scratch or not. So I would appreciate here after I'm done babbling if you clarify that. But you are going with a coupling 1 for Englehart and Dylan Davis.
Yeah, I sort of like I guess if I had to pick one, I think I like the 1A a little bit better. I mean,
Okay.
this one is it's been knocking. The thing is, though, this one's been knocking around. 8 years old now. She's getting up there. She's not as, if you look at her last 4 since, or I guess should say last 3 since the claim, but I include the fourth one there since it was the end of with the last trainer. The one thing I did like, even though she's 8, she popped that 66, got claimed, then ran 2 in the slop. So they were pretty disappointing races, and the buyer's bad. They lost by a lot of lengths. But I can maybe say, look at the slop. That's no good. This horse doesn't have a great record in the slop. Then comes back again. It's claiming 10. So it's pretty low, but still at least won the race comfortably, ran a nice race. Again, this isn't the best of fields, but this horse is only 2 for 25 wins, or not 2 for 25 wins. Sorry, only 7 for 25 wins, but 15 out of 25 at Aqueduct, so likes the track. 10 out of 13 in the money at the distance. There's just some things that I like about this one, as opposed to there are some negatives, but I figure now I'm getting 2, and I don't dislike the 1. So I think it sucks when you hate one of the entry mates, or if you like maybe the longer shot in this one. I don't mind the 1 as well. They actually ran 1-2 last time, which I always like. So I just kind of like the combination of the 2. I think they both have a shot. There's negatives against them both. I actually had one quick stat. So if you look at it, Jeffrey Englehart on the 1, Indian Bella. So first after the claim, Englehart's 30%, or at Aqueduct specifically, he's 30%, 12 for 40, which is a decent enough sample size. But then if you drill down, he's only 1 for 17 first after the claim in route races. So that's just one where you want to go that extra layer down sometimes in the stats, because you're like, man, 30%, that looks awesome. But then maybe for some reason he's more comfortable with sprinters. Who knows the reasoning behind it? But that's where I'm going to go.
Okay. And they're both 8-year-old mares.
I mean, you're going with the old, the
1A beat the 1 last time, like Pete said. I actually prefer the 1, the flat 1 of the coupling, because she's got a little more rest. It's a new claim for Engelhart. She's got more back class. I don't know. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a bit of a guess, frankly. You're going with the 5 in second. I looked at this horse real carefully. I got this horse in third. I thought she'd be a higher morning line, but she's 4-1. This horse coming in from Parks for Rudy. Has back numbers, has not been very good in her last two.
No.
But maybe she didn't like the rail last time. I mean, it's a bit of a guessing game. 3 for 4 in the money on the wet, Pete.
Well, that was my thing with this one was at least there's something with her I can point to where there's some good races that I think could beat this field. Now the issue is she came out of the Brad Cox barn, so you figure that
Sorry,
racing.
who? Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah, that guy. He's pretty decent, right? So you figure that race in July on the July 20th. That was the last one with Cox. She ran really well, 70 buyer, wins the race. The next one, it comes off the turf, so that's fishy enough as it is, but it was still maybe had a little bit of the Cox juice, not juice in like a nefarious way. You know what I mean? Has like some of the Cox to her still. And
Vitamins.
She's just the good training methods is what I'm going for. And then the next two though are back on she starts going increasingly downward, at least in terms of buyers and results. So at that one, that was my concern with this horse. But if she can recapture those prior races, I think she's as good as anyone here.
Pete, this is why I love our viewers on the bottom of the screen. I did not know this. According to Jim Plars, the Engelhart said, you only run one of these two, 1A on dry, the flat 1 on wet. Interesting. So I'm guessing it's going to be wet. I'm guessing he only runs the 1. Does that change your usage of the coupling 1 that won't be a coupling?
Not for me, because I still like the 1A more. So on the dry track, I like the 1A more anyway.
There you do, Victor.
Yeah.
Why 1, 2, and 1 will do. Absolutely.
Yes. So either way, I still would probably stick with the 1. Again, the 1 in this race for me isn't like a stone cold top choice. It's more of on the same level, maybe with the 5 and maybe just a notch above the 2 for me. But those two, the 1 and the 5, are on sort of the A level for me anyway.
Okay. I'm going with who I think will be the favorite, the number 3. Blue paint. Again, this drop down I think will matter quite a bit. I don't like the 0 for 6 at Aqueduct, and I don't like the 0 for 5 on Wet Pete. So this is obviously not any kind of single or anything. I'm spreading big time here because those are two angles I just don't like. I mean, but she's been facing much better. So you got to take that into consideration. Again, we don't know what the track condition is going to be anyway, but I just like the drop down here. This is a big jockey change, a huge jockey change, Pete, from Gonzalez to Franco. You have to take that into consideration on days like this, especially. So do I love this horse? No. Is she logical? Yes. She's like the 2 horse in the first leg, but not as obvious to me, if that makes it like the obvious best horse to me, but absolutely not a single candidate at all.
No, I'm with you. And I actually, this was when I was deciding between the 2 and the 3 for my third spot. Basically, I was down to the same things. There wasn't really one thing. She came back a little flat in 2023 so far. Again, it's a better company than we're in here, but she just seemed a little flat. So maybe the drop down will help that. Maybe the switch to Franco helps that. I did have a Cantermachi Franco combo at Aqueduct is 2 for 23 wins. So that sort of
a lot of negative stats tonight. That's going to make it
interesting. I'm shocking with these fantastic horses. I'm so surprised.
Yeah.
But
well, of course. Can I just real quick, we'll move on. I want to mention Gringotts. I don't know if you have the 4 anywhere, Pete. I have the 4 right now as a B as in boy. Again, it's a drop down. Yes, it's state bred, but it's still allowance. I still consider this a drop down. This this horse is getting a lot of weight. I'm not a weight guy, Pete, but this is like 10 pounds. This is a big weight change, and this jock can win some races. She's not the worst pick. I mean, you're trying to do some guessing game. I'm spreading. I'm using the 4 also. It's not like I'm afraid of some horse that's going to run off the screen in this race. So I don't know. I'm very deep, and I hate to do that in a smallish kind of field, but I don't know what the hell's going to happen in this race.
I have the 4. The 4 would, I don't know if I'll do this for this sequence, but if I was doing an ABC, I probably have the 4 as a B as well. But I also had her as an underneath kind of horse if I was playing exotics or something. Gringotts is cool. I'm a Harry Potter fan. Gringotts, I want to root for that horse. So And the one thing you can look at, it's way, way back in April of last year, but last time was actually in a straight claiming race, ran a nice race. So if you can look back at that and say, and it would lost to Indian Bella and ran pretty well against Indian Bella, who's probably going to be a little bit lower. So
I'm not too familiar with Harry Potter. I didn't even know the Gringotts reference. So if that makes
well,
me a horrible person, Pete,
no,
I
not at all,
apologize to
not at
you
all.
and all
I don't.
the fans of Harry Potter out there. All right, let's go to rate. Now, here's where my opinions, Pete, get a little more strong, I would say, for me.
This is where I go the opposite. As you can see,
Oh,
my
really?
pick 5 ticket, I start getting deeper and deeper as the races go. Yes.
Well, I don't mean I'm going to go lighter. I just mean I have a better feeling of what's going to happen.
Okay. Gotcha.
Let's go to race 3. See our picks on the bottom of the screen. We are similar, but we're different. We have the same second and third, Pete, but completely different horses on top, which is very interesting. The race 3, and it's the third leg too. We're not used to saying that also, Pete, that the third leg is race 3.
We don't do early
This
pick
is
fives.
main special weight. Main special weight. This is New York breds. They're going a mile once again. 4-year-olds and up. Keep that in mind. These are older horses going the distance. And you see this is an 8-horse field. With the morning line favorite is the number 3, Spirit of St. Louis, a first-time starter for Chad Brown and Manny Franco. We both have that horse in second. Pete, you're going to go with the number 6, Squid Gamer, a horse I do not have anywhere, for Charlie Baker, who certainly can win, and George Vargas. I believe this is a first-time starter.
Yes, and it's funny. You and I differed on the top. The 5 and the 6, I have them both as A, so I'm with you when we get to the 5 as well. I like the 5 as well. The 6 in one of those, it's maybe the devil you don't know yet, where I don't love a ton of the other horses. And I was looking at this one, and the couple things I can point at, I did like the work 3 back. That was pretty strong, and then it sort of eased into this race a bit. The sire, 17% wins with 3-year-old and up, first-time starters. The dam side is 20% with 4-year-old and up, just overall, not first-time starters. Charlton Baker's been sort of red hot at this meet to begin with. So, you're getting someone who's been comfortable over the track. A couple negative stats. Baker's 3 for 36, first-time starters on dirt at Aqueduct, and 1 for 11, first-time starters in route races. But I feel like this one, breeding wise, Baker's hot. I like the works. At least we're seeing some works coming in that are productive. And at 10-1 in a race where I don't think there's huge standouts, that's a horse that I'll want to have on the A line of my ticket.
I love Charlie Baker. My feeling with this horse is I don't like him debuting at a mile. And I'm glad you mentioned those stats, Pete. If this was a sprint, I'd be more interested in this horse. We're not going to be able to see the board, of course. We have no idea.
Yeah.
I have this horse as a C as in cat right now. I think you brought some excellent points, and that is a very good breeze. But I will say, and I know this because of Funny How, Pete, who's been training, the training trap in general has been pretty quick. Not recently, but back in January was. So I'm not poo-pooing the 47-4. I just want to bring up the point that a lot of horses have been working a little bit faster on paper than it might look. So,
sure. But I do think there was a lot of workers that day, and when you get one, everyone has the same. Everyone has the same benefit of the faster track. So it's like saying in the NFL where they're like, well, so and so has a lot of passing yards because we throw a lot now. I'm like, but if you still are the leader, you're still better than everyone else, even though you have the same advantages. So in this one, and again, I'm looking at this is a big spread race for me. So we can talk about a few of them as we get through.
Well, we're going to move pretty quickly. Spirit of St. Louis, you have in second. I have in second. Refua, you have in third. I have in third. Yep. I do have some stats, but let's talk about a few things that I've got written down here, Pete, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Spirit of St. Louis, Chad Brown does not have great stats going a mile on dirt. I don't know if you have that, but you can mention in a second. This is a full brother to Bar of Gold. Bar of Gold was the Breeders' Cup winner. Actually, a little more turfy pedigree, this 3. And I don't like the fact that he's waiting to debut until he's 4. I don't really like that. I went back to look at all the works. I don't know if you ever do this, Pete, but I looked back at all the works because I want to see, why did this horse debut so late. I know it might be hard for people to see. Let me explain. This horse was working his 2-year-old year. So when he was a 2-year-old, Pete, if you can look carefully, he was working over the summer at Saratoga, right? Then if you guys can see what I'm going to highlight right here, he worked on July 21st of 21 and then had this big break until January. So obviously something went wrong there, Pete, right? He was hoping to debut him as a 2-year-old. Then there's a big break. Works in January, and then there's another a break until May of last year. So he's had some issues, work, and then again, June 28th at Saratoga last summer, and then whoops, sorry, I didn't want to do that. And then another break, let me get rid of that. And then another break until November. So these are negatives. Geez, sorry about that, guys. These are negatives to me, Pete, where this horse just had a lot of issues. Now, the positive is it's Peter Brandt. Chad Brown is staying with him. It's the Bromans. I mean, there's a lot of positives, but this horse has had his issues. So if I didn't see any breaks, I would I could almost single this horse maybe or something silly. But there's been issues with this horse with the breaks.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And obviously there has to be some bad reasoning why a horse doesn't debut till 4, no matter what's happening. So especially a horse that costs $300,000, you figure this is one that they maybe wanted to get on the track, obviously a little bit earlier. Yep. But if you look at, I agree with you. You have to take that into consideration, especially with a 2-to-1 favorite. If you ignore some of that, this horse is coming in, at least looks like maybe the ship has been righted, has been working steadily, finally, and actually has some good works. But yeah, this isn't a horse that I'd be super confident. I would definitely not single this horse. I mean, if it was on turf and you had a Chad on turf, maybe that had some of those questions, maybe that would be different, but on dirt, not necessarily.
I'm not going to show the reviewer replay because I don't want this to go on for 90 minutes tonight, Pete, but he ran perfectly fine. He ranged up to a decent horse. And that horse just sort of went on with it. This horse that he lost to, Callaloo, as you can see, got an 80 buyer that day and had a 79 buyer before. So the 7 lost to a good horse last time, but he got a perfect tripper, ranged up and had no chance. And he's 0 for 10. Now an 0 for 8 crushed me out of a late pick 5 at Santa Anita on Saturday, so which was killer for me. So because it was paying in the thousands. So I'm just negative to 0 for 8s and 0 for 10s. I just don't like these kind of horses, Pete. Let me quickly talk about the 5 tiebreaker.
By the way, real quick, the only thing on Roof, I like the Cancel move, the pickup of Cancel. Okay. That could be a positive. Just wanted to mention that before we forget. Yeah.
No, Cancel is a better rider than Gomez for sure. Yeah. I can't argue that. Tiebreaker is my price play of the sequence, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you a few things about Tiebreaker. And Andy Serling, by the way, was on Steve Bick's show yesterday morning and mentioned this horse as someone that's interesting for those of you that agree with Andy Serling or respect his opinion. I certainly do. That's not why I picked this horse, though. Tiebreaker, first of all, is a claim, a new purchase for a new acquisition for David Duggan. Duggan, now, first off the claim, this is not a claim, but first time off the claim, he's 19%, 46% in the money. And what I'm going to do right now, and I'm literally doing this for the first time, Pete, because I looked at the claiming stats. Let's see what he is just first time with the horse. First time after trainer switch. Let's see what he is. 24%, 48%, Pete. So,
and actually, I had
pretty darn good.
I had so if you drill down even a little bit more, and I did on dirt at Aqueduct for that.
Yep.
And I guess obviously it lowers the sample size, but it was 6 for 14 wins and 9 for 14 in the money. So I like that, even though it is a smaller sample size.
Here's another one with this, with Rodriguez, who doesn't win too often. He's an 8% jockey. With a Duggan with this guy is 23%, Pete.
Yeah.
55% in the money. So when Duggan is a live horse, he goes to this jockey. He's also first time gelding for those people that like that. And the most important thing to me is the speed angle. He's got this 106 time for him, Pete. I don't know about these first time starters. I don't like the 7 very much. I'm looking for a fresh face. I think Tiebreaker is aggressive out of the gate. I think he can wire this field. I think he can do it at 8-1. This is my price play of the sequence, Pete.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I had a really
Okay.
hard time narrowing these downs, and this was one that was definitely in consideration for my win spot. And I don't even remember, and honestly, I don't even remember why I chose some of the other ones over this one. They're all sort of on the same level for me. So I really like this horse. Definitely an A for me as well. He's also, Duggan is also good sprinter route. I know it's only going 7 to a mile, right? I think we're at a mile,
Yes.
right? Yeah, 7 to a
Yes.
mile. So, but has some pretty good stats there too. So he's comfortable with everything that's happening. The only thing
Yeah.
I don't love is you got two times off a layoff. Now you're on the third trainer again. Even if you like the trainer, it's just a lot of inconsistency, and you can't get them. You're not getting a feel for a horse. That might have been my only drawback, and that's what maybe pushed this one down a little bit. But
Yeah.
100%, I'm with you, and I'd love to see this one if we can get double digits for sure.
Fair enough. He's been working steadily. Aiton Sand, last thing. This is a horse trained by Michelle Giangiulio, does a great job. Marshall Graham, 10 Strike Racing. If people are wondering why is this horse in this race, he just won by 5. He had a Butte overage, which is not an illegal substance. It's a medication issue. So unfortunately, this horse for 10 Strike lost the purse money, and then therefore is technically not a winner yet. So I want to mention that. I actually did reach out to Marshall Graham, and he mentioned it was a Butte overage, and it was just something sort of harmless mistake, and that's the way it goes. So I don't know if I love this horse. I mean, he's obvious, but that was a very weak field. I'm using him, though, because I have respect for the trainer and Pennington and 10 Strike. I just have a feeling someone else is better, but, I mean, I'm using this horse. He could win.
I used it as well. It was one of the last ones added to my ticket. You can't discount that last race. I didn't love the fact that it took multiple drop downs to get to that point and to get to
I
that
agree.
win. That was the thing that was sort of the negative for me. But other than that, I mean, if he runs that race from last time, that just as easily that could bury this field, in all honesty, if that same race comes about.
Yeah, no question. A few quick comments again from Jim. The Chad Brown Firster, none over 4 furlongs with the works. This is a mile race. He thinks there'd be longer works to prep for the debut. It's a fair point, Jim. I guess that's a good point. Dan mentions Aiden Sand switching from 6 to 7 to a mile seems awkward. Sure, I guess, Dan. I'm guessing there weren't a lot of spots that were available to run in. And he's actually sort of sprinty on the breeding. So, Deanna, that's a good point. But again, there's no killers in this race. So,
Different
I don't know.
trainer too, so you don't know if for some
Yep,
reason they're just trying something new.
fair point. Let's move on to the next race, Pete. We got 2 more left to cover here. The next race is race 4, and it's leg 4. These are 35 claimers. We just keep going up the claiming ladder, Pete.
Yeah.
35 claimers. This is, where's the distance there? It is 1 mile. This is 1 mile again. Open company 35. These are not non-winners of 3 races lifetime. So it's condition claimer. I was a little surprised when I saw the morning line from David Aragoni, or the morning line favorite. I thought the 1 would be the favorite. I didn't think that this horse would be 8 to 5. Complete agenda for Linda Rice and Jose Lascano. And again, we are going different horses on top. You're going with Breadman for Randy Prasad and Torres. What is 6 to 1 morning line? What do you like about this one, Pete?
Yeah, I was hoping to get a little bit of a price here, especially like you said. I was surprised with the 1 being so low. I like that when you look at in the claiming races, this horse has been just pretty competitive, especially in the last few, 3 out of the last 4, I should say, were in the claiming ranks, regardless of what level they were. And it just seems like that's where this horse sort of is at his best. That's sort of his levels, regardless of whether 16, 25, now we're in 35. So we're moving up. I like the lifetime buyer top last out. Was sitting a little closer too. It was a really slow pace, so maybe that had something to do with it. But I like maybe that, hey, in these past races, this horse was just way too far back. Maybe if we can get this one a little bit closer. It doesn't like to win 2 for 16, but who knows if maybe we can get a little bit of a change in style and sit at the claiming ranks where I think this horse is comfortable, then maybe we can repeat that race, or even the race 3 back, I think can beat this field.
You know what I like, Pete, is we're really giving viewers a lot of options. And just to let everyone know, we do not talk before the show at all on who we like. And Pete and I are going to be wrong more than going to be right. I mean, everyone is more wrong than they are right. If anyone tells you otherwise in this in this crazy game we play, they are lying. But Pete, you and I handicap slightly differently, but using a lot of the same principles. And I think it's refreshing, frankly, that we're giving the viewers out there and listeners a lot of different options. Maybe you totally agree with Pete. Maybe you totally agree with me. Whatever, go with whatever you like. Again, once you bet, it's your opinion, not ours, as our wonderful co-host Kyle Roscoe likes to say. I don't like Breadman at all. I hear what you're saying. I think that 78 is fake. It was in a extremely slow pace. I don't know where it came from. He does have races that are on the go back that are competitive. I've got this horse as a C. Would I, roll over and be shocked if he won, Pete? No, not my cup of tea, but totally get it. Listen, let me go full screen for a second, Pete. I think it's important for a second for me to say this. I've had the pleasure to, over the last 2 years, talk with some of the brightest minds in the game on many of our shows. And one thing I've learned from a lot of people is there's nothing wrong with going with a price as long as you back it up with solid opinions. Sometimes price shots are going to work great, as they've had for both of us on this show. Sometimes they're going to be a total disaster. But you know what? If you do your research, you do your handicapping, you can't blame or rip someone for going with a price as long as it's sound and there's some backing. Anyone could say, oh, I like this 20-1 because I like the trainer. What? No, that's not a good reason. I'm not saying Breadman's 20-1. My point, Pete, is everyone out there, you have an opinion, use it. If you like a price and you hear someone likes a price, take that opinion for what it's worth, only if it's sound backing and it's from someone you respect. Don't just say, well, I like this 30-1. Say, ooh, this person likes the 30-1. But why? There's reasons, right, Pete?
Yeah, you get that sometimes where someone just throws it out so they can, maybe if it hits, you take credit for it. And if it doesn't, nobody remembers anyway.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say, because I listen to a lot of horse racing podcasts and have over the years, you don't necessarily have to listen to agree with, hey, so and so likes the 5, that's who I'm going to pick. But they may say something about the horse that you like or you don't like. And it may be just a point that you missed or a point that you didn't think of. And to me, that's part of the benefit of listening to these two. And that's why we like to cover a bunch of horses, is to say, maybe there's something I like about a horse that you completely dislike, but that doesn't matter. If it's something you like, then that could be a data point that pushes you over the top on a certain horse. And so that's where I think you can get out of this. It doesn't have to be, hey, I'm going to ride Howard's picks today, but I like what Howard is saying about these horses, or I don't agree with that methodology, so I'm not going to pick that one. Just
well, unless it's the BCBC where Drew Cody puts 90,000 or Matt Miller wins. I mean, in general, people are winning a lot of money because they're not betting favorites, and so there's nothing wrong. Listen, we can be chalky weasels, Pete, just like the next guy when it's necessary. I mean, I loved. Hit show who was 6-5 this weekend. It's not exactly an original opinion. You got to go with what you got in front of you. My point is don't be afraid to take prices, people, and be contrarian. That's my point.
Well, we're going over, when we do our shows, we're going over sequences, and you don't want to throw a favorite out of a sequence just because you want to get a price. If you think the favorite has a good or better shot at winning the race. I mean, in a sequence, it's different than you might say, no, I'm not betting this horse to win as the favorite, but including them in a sequence is a different conversation.
Absolutely. You've got the 1 second. Let me talk about the one, because I've got the one first.
Yeah, please, you go ahead.
I don't like this 8-5 at all. And again, I love David Aragon. I think he does a great job. I just wouldn't bet this horse at 8-5 if my life depended on it. I mean, that's crazy. I'm just looking at my notes here. He did race against Dr. Love 2-back. I thought actually Dr. Love ran better 2-back than Complete Agenda. So I don't think the 1 is really that much better than the 2, even though I have the 1 first. I think there is some speed in this race. I do like the change back to Lascano. Maddie Oliver is a nice apprentice jockey, but she's not Lascano. This is just a logical horse to me. I don't have a lot to say. I do think the number 6 from Another Mother is interesting, and not because it's Ray Handel, but that is one of the reasons. This horse has been involved, Pete, in just fast pace after fast pace. As you guys can see on the screen, all these red-coded numbers means this horse has been involved in fast pace. This 107 early time form, Pete, is clearly the fastest in this race. And unless a horse like the number 3 Irish Exit, or maybe the number 2 Dr. Love Goes, Pete, I think the 6 could be free and loose here. And although his form is not great, I trust that Rehan could turn him around. And I love the 6-1. So I think this horse is definitely live. I'm going 1-6-2. I don't have anything else to add here.
No, I agree with you on the 6. That's why I have that horse in third. I mean, you always like a horse who, just based on the sort of the pace scenario, looks like could get loose. And again, Dylan Davis is up, but also this horse does have races like that last one. I almost tossed it because both was in a hot pace and was on the lead. And the 2 horses who were sort of knocking heads both fell to basically second to last and last. So it was sort of a pace
not basically. They did. I'm sorry.
They did. They finished.
So
Yep.
again, from another, we should show this race, Pete. There's 3 horses that are running, on Friday. From Another Mother is the 4. Obviously didn't get to the lead, and the 4 looks like he needs the lead. Complete Agenda, I believe, is the 1 right here. And Dr. Love, who actually I thought maybe ran the best race, is the 9 out here in red. And we'll just go ahead and fast forward to the stretch. You see there, look at Dr. Love, Pete. Let me go full screen. Dr. Love here is 4 across the track. Meanwhile, Complete Agenda is going to pick up the pieces late. And you see From Another Mother is going to, tire late. But again, the horses, the 2 and the 4 that were 1-2 to start this race, finished last and second to last. So the pace flow absolutely helped number 1 Complete Agenda right here.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that was the reason why I wasn't fully supportive of the 1 in this race, because I think the 6 potentially could be Lone Speed and we don't get this hot pace. And the 1, or complete, I should say completed, there were 1 in both races. Complete Agenda is just so slow out of the gate. So there's almost no chance that horse isn't going to be way in the back. So if we do get a slow enough pace, maybe it compromises that horse. And if you're looking to beat, I don't know if the horse will be 8-5, but if you're looking to beat a horse who's going to be at least low odds, that's something you can maybe hang your hat on. It's like, maybe this was just not going to get the pace to run into. And even if it runs its race, might not get up for the win. So I'll take that if I'm trying to beat a favorite.
Yeah, and I look at that race. To me, the 9 ran better than the 1. And I know, again, Howard, why are you going with the 1? I just think the 1's the better horse, but not by a lot. So it'll be interesting. Pete, let's go on to the last leg here as we close out the pick 5. And before they come on to the track, Pete, for the last race, we do, hold on a second.
Perfect.
Gotta play this, Pete. I'm going to try very hard to play that at the beginning of the sequence and not at the end, when it really makes absolutely no sense from a show perspective. But,
well, it happens before every race, so I guess technically it doesn't matter.
It does. All right, let's. Where are we going here? There we go, Pete. I have a very, very, very strong opinion in this race 5. Actually, it's my strongest opinion of the entire sequence. And again, when I say opinion, I don't mean a single necessarily. I just think how the race is going to develop. Race 5, Pete, we'll show right here. It's a main special weight. There are only 6 furlongs. What happened?
Look at that. No mile.
2 furlongs. These are restricted 3-year-old fillies. You see the field here. It's a nice field of 8. Morning line favors the number 7. Fabulously Funny for Dutro and Liscano. Pete, that's where you're going with the closeout, the last leg here.
Yeah, and this was one where we handicap prior to the odds. And when I was watching that race, I was like, oh man, I really like this horse. I hope this horse isn't bet too far down. And then it comes up and this horse is the 2-1 favorite. So if you look, I mean, again, you don't have to necessarily show it, but in the debut,
we got to show it.
You got to show that one. Okay. Oh
yeah,
there's 4 horses. Never mind. Yeah, there's 4 in there.
Yeah, 2, 5, 7, 8. You want to pay attention to the 2 and 5, especially, Pete. Correct.
And actually, I had to watch this race like 4 times for each of the horses because they all had something, a little bit of a problem. So
all right, go ahead. I'll let you. We'll just watch the whole thing. We got a few minutes here.
But if
again,
you watch
the 2, especially Fabulously Funny, I would say.
Yeah. So that 2 sort of. Yeah, there you go. So the 2 stump, and actually you could see if you were looking at the head on, you could see that the 2 sort of goes down a little bit, not to the knees necessarily, but you could see sort of the drop down and then sort of rushes up. But now look, they're all just bunched together and they're sort of all just ganging up on the leader. So you have that
Shuffle City, boys and girls. Right
yeah,
there,
look
right?
at that. I mean, it's crazy. And then you see the. Okay, so we
now
got senior.
Spelterini is getting a perfect trip from this point forward.
Spelterini
That's
looks
the
like a
8.
nice
That's
trip.
the
Yep.
8 on Friday. Just want to mention that. Go ahead, Pete.
Yes, that one is getting a perfect trip. And plus the 9-horse Senior Prank, who winds up winning this race,
Yeah.
actually looks like a pretty solid horse. So at least in the debut, the next one came back, went all the way up into stakes. So it wasn't a great run, but that's a pretty big jump all the way up into stakes. So then you
Spelterini
see,
angles out, and you would think would have a big shot at this point. And here, there's Fabulously Funny on the wrong lead and finally gets her act together.
yep, then starts coming a little bit. And you see, yeah, you could see right
Has to angle
there.
out.
Spelterini's coming, the 2's coming, the 9 is sort of holding on for relatively comfortably. Risk free, I don't necessarily love. Wasn't the greatest of trips in the world, but I didn't like the fading there.
Yeah.
So
These
I mean,
horses
I like
are
those
in the
too.
race as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. I mean, I don't have the what do I
So
have?
what do we take out of it, Pete? People at home like, okay, so what does that mean?
I mean, what I'm taking out of it is I just think, especially what I liked about Fabulous Funny was it was her first race. So there was a learning experience there. She stumbled out of the gate a little bit. She got pinched. We can't really see it again if you were
Yeah,
really
people can
focusing on
watch the head on their own. Yeah.
got pinched against the rail a little bit, then moved to make a move and also got shut off again. So that was just a lot of stuff that happened in a horse's first in their debut. So I'm thinking that could be a good learning experience. Now you're coming back, you're facing some of the same horses who you just almost outfinished anyway, even after that tough trip. Practical Joke is great sprinter. This horse costs 210,000. I like Lascano up. I think this one hopefully just gets a better trip. And again, that's why I assume all those reasons are why this horse was a 2-1 morning line favorite, though.
I got a negative stat that even though I have this horse in second and she's very logical, I was surprised. I thought Dutro would be better second time out. Only 3 for 35, Pete.
Yeah,
Second time
yeah.
starter. So
Yep.
that was a negative to me. My general feeling, Pete, here's my strong opinion. I'm going to put us on full screen here. Here's my general opinion. I don't like the race. I don't like the race. I know the 7 had trouble, and I'm using the 7. I think you only need. I do not like Spelterini at all. I'm not even going to use that horse at all. I'm fading the 8 Spelterini in this race, Pete, on Friday. If she wins, I lose. I don't like the fact that Mott hasn't improved this horse. That's very rare for a Mott horse, Pete, to
I
be
had that
good
note.
first time out and just going backwards as a newly turned 3-year-old. She can win, I suppose. I'm totally against her. Here's my strong opinion. To me, it's either the 7 or it's first time starter number 4, Swanson Lake. Now, Swanson Lake is interesting. This horse, Pete, is trained by McCarthy. And here's what I like about this horse. A lot of things, 170,000, Keeneland September, by Constitution of a Scat Daddy, mare, has been working well. Now, look where this horse has been working, Pete. This horse has been working at the Churchill Downs Training Center. So here's my thought. If this was a poly horse, he would send this horse obviously to Turfway, right? They're big purses there. So he's got choices, either Oaklawn, which he could have, which I suppose is closer, or New York. He sends his horse to New York where the purses are about the same. McCarthy's done well in New York, by the way. I'm not going to show details, but he's run some very nice horses, like Independence Hall, some stake runners in New York, and he's got Franco on him. Pete, this horse has to be live to me. This horse has to be super live. I'm only going 4-7 in the pick 5. I only like 4-7. If anyone else beats me in the pick 5, I'm going to lose.
That's fair. I mean, I have the 4 as an A. The 4 is on my ticket, so I agree with pretty much everything you said. And I had really small sample size stats from McCarthy, just that they were positive statistics, and I feel like this is one that, again, in a race where the devil you don't know, again, where it's like I'm not too impressed with any of the other horses. So if I can get one that maybe looks like has some ability, and with the 170K, looks like it may have been well thought of, I'll take the shot at a first-time starter.
As we come up on an hour here, let's go do our pick 5 speed. Again, we want to thank everyone for watching tonight. Stay on this channel because in half an hour, we've got Bettin and Boozin with Kyle Roscoe in the game to talk about what happened in the Super Bowl and also the late pick 4 at Gulfstream on Saturday. And then we're on tomorrow night, regular time, to talk about fairgrounds and Crowns Way racing. If you're interested in buying horses and getting involved as an owner like myself and Pete, watch our show tomorrow night with Crowns Way Racing. Pete, your pick 5 is 2 with 1-5, with 1-3-5, 6-7-8, with 1-3-5-6, with 4-6-7-8. It's a $96 caveman ticket, and you are singling the Pletcher in the first leg.
Yeah, that was with a decision I made, even though it's sort of the obvious single I didn't like. It's a short field too, so you don't want to go too deep. You could almost go all if you don't like that first, the favorite, and you can drop the favorite. But I figure I'm going to start with that one. Just looks like it's better than the field. The second race, I'm sort of thin. I think there's multiple horses that could win, but I was pretty confident in the 1 and the 5. And then that third leg, I'm just wide open. So like I said, I'm going spread. I got some good prices in there. I have some of the lower price horses. And then even in the last 2, they were just 4 deep, which is why I wanted to make sure I singled at least that first leg, because I wanted to go deep. We talked about the last leg. I like the 7. I'm with you on the 4. I don't dislike Spelterini as much as you do. And I have the 6 in there, who I don't think we didn't really touch on, but it was just another, a little bit of a price horse that, again, I think got into a speed duel in that race, but was 36-1 in that race. So
yeah,
it was more of a, can this horse not get in a duel and get on the lead and maybe do something with that? So at a little bit of a price.
However, the 6's sire is Taprit, who is the sire of the horse that I have the biggest piece of through Adelphi. So hopefully,
there you go.
And
so hopefully
Taprit, by the way, the
bloodline.
sire of Victory Formation, real nice horse who's running on Saturday as well. All right, Pete, here we go. Did I single? And if I singled, who? Now, before you answer that question, we got a comment from our good friend from the University of Kentucky, Noah Megger. Howard's got me stumped. I don't want to guess on who my single will be because I want to keep my A in the class. Noah, good idea. But Pete doesn't have to worry about getting graded because he's not my student. So
no.
Pete, what do you think? What did I do? Single, and if I did, with whom?
I was looking through. I say you don't have I don't know if you have the balls to single that 5 horse in the third leg, do you? That would be where I would go. That would be where I would go if you're trying to be cute.
You and Paul always think I'm going to be cute. I'm not going to be cute, Pete. This might surprise you.
You went with the
look, I mean, okay. I had a decision. So let me go with my ticket. It's 2 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with 3, 5, 7, 8, with 1, 2, 6, 7, with 4, 7. It's an $80 ticket. Pete, here's how I feel. Legs 2, 3, and 4 open. I have to spread. If I were to single, and you and I both know I'm not singling because I'll play an ABC and have others, but for this show, I'm either going to single the first leg or the last leg. I would single the last leg, but I don't know how good the McCarthy is, and because I don't know, and because I don't think the 7 is really that good, I just couldn't make a decision there. And the most logical single to me is the 2 in the first leg. Now, I'm going to use others. Obviously, I'd recommend everyone out there to at least, Pete, if they're going to play cavemen, at least play a backup ticket. Maybe the first leg you want to single the 2, play a small backup with a few others in the first race. You don't have to do a fancy schmancy ABC ticket to back up a race. But there's my thoughts. I'm spreading in the middle 3. I'm slinging the Pletcher at the start. Listen, if Pletcher wins at 3-5 to start, that's fine. I'll get through the leg. And I really, really only like 2 in the last. I might use some C's, maybe, depending on how big my ticket is on my ABC. But Pete, I just think that was a weak race that a horse is coming out of. I'm against Spelterini. And I think the only interesting newbie would be obviously the McCarthy. So I'm going to go 4-7 in the last leg. Pete, as I throw up the closing scroll banner, any thoughts for Friday specifically for anyone?
No, I'll say it's not the easiest card to handicap, but in a bunch of races where there isn't necessarily, like that first leg is a standout in a certain respect, but it's not a great horse who hasn't really shown a ton to stand out on the track. So in a sequence like this, if you can come up with some price plays, I think it's a good one to play. The fields aren't huge, so you don't have to go nuts. And I would say, personally, I wouldn't spend a lot of money on this sequence just because I don't have a ton of super strong opinions. But I think it's a fun one to play because I think mayhem can happen in a couple of those races just because the top end of them are pretty weak. So I think anything can happen.
Any big carryover like this, Pete, I have to play it.
And a carryover
there's so much money in there. Perfect. And yes, the field sizes are not big, but I could see 4-1, 4-1, 9-2, 3-5, 4-1. It pays 1,000. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you could make some money here. I would also, if your opinions are strong enough, Pete, I would recommend people press up. If you really like some horses and it's not that expensive, play it for $1. Play it for $1.50, because I don't see this thing paying anything crazy. It just, the field sizes aren't big enough and the options just aren't enough to get something crazy.
The long shots in some of these are really bad. So it's hard to get to some of them. It's hard to get to where you look at, like, some races you can get to a 15-20 to 1 shot. You look at some of the 15-20s here and they're just bad. And you're like, I don't know if I could see this horse winning, even if all hell broke loose. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
I gotcha. Pete, I got to go out and make sure my shovel is ready to go, and I got the salt ready to go for the snowstorm tomorrow, but we'll survive. It's going to be in the 40s this weekend. Hope everyone enjoyed our preview of the Pick 5. Again, it's the early Pick 5 on Friday at Aqueduct. Good luck to everyone, and make sure you join us in about 25 minutes for Bettin and Boozin at 9 o'clock Eastern, and then tomorrow, Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern for our Fairgrounds Pick 5 and ownership opportunity with Crowns Way Racing. Have a great night, everyone. Take care. Good night.
If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.